Hey everybody, welcome to the Crit House. Our My Five series continues with somebody who I have watched for a long period of time on YouTube, and that is Matt Day. Matt Day, it's great to have you on the Crit House. Thanks for joining us.
It's great to be here, Jeff. I really appreciate you having me. This is going to be a good time.
I know it'll be fun. So Matt has spent a lot of time documenting life in Chillicothe, Ohio. I appreciate his work because he's somebody who shoots where he lives, and that's one of those things that I think is so important. I spent a lot of time documenting Boston and walking up and down Mass Ave, and it's good to go out and see the rest of the world. But as photographers, I honor those that look at their home, and you do a great job with that. So thank you for that.
I appreciate that. That means a lot.
So Matt's images include work from Elliot Erwitt, Mark Steinmetz, Matt Price, Mike Blayback, and Sage Sohier. Matt, it's great to have you on. I love, I'm looking forward to the conversation. So, I mean, I talked a little bit about you as a photographer. How do you talk about you as a photographer?
Photography and being a photographer for me has always been sort of a mixed bag. Taking pictures from my own just daily life and surroundings, and like you mentioned, my hometown here, family, friends, skateboarding, music, to weddings, to all sorts of different portrait work, marketing, kind of corporate stuff. It's been a broad range of things that I've shot over the years, but to sum it up, essentially, if someone were to ask what kind of photography I do, it's just daily life, just daily surroundings, things as they are, as unstaged or undirected as possible. That to me, doing it for a living and everything aside, that's really where the passion is for me, is just documenting life.
Well, and that's why I love your channel and love watching everything you do. So thanks for that. So you've picked these 5 images. What did you go through in making that decision for what those 5 images were going to be?
I really tried to just think of some of my favorite photographers and different books that I've had that I've really spent a lot of time with, and books I just kind of find myself keep coming back to. And I wanted to get somewhat of a different range of types of work as well. And so pulling a little bit from some interest, from a long time ago, such as skateboarding, something I've always been just loved since the start. I got my camera and skateboard both sort of around the same time when I was younger. So the two it's sort of a marriage of the two. And photographers that I've admired for a really long time, as well as some that I've only come to appreciate in recent years. And I enjoy all of the photographers as a whole for different reasons, but especially the 5 pictures that I chose. I think they all bring a little bit of their own specialty, I guess.
Let's take a look at your 5 images from Matt Day. So your first image is the amazing Elliot Erwitt, who I think to this point is the most commonly selected photographer in the My 5 series. People have been influenced him in a big way.
Yes. As far back as I can remember, Elliot Erwitt has really been, when I was at a point within photography where I could have a favorite photographer, someone who I'd seen for a long time and really admired their work, that would be Elliot Erwitt. I named my son Elliot actually because of Elliot Erwitt. Yeah. Always loved his work, and especially his book Dogs, and just all of the other pictures that he's made of dogs that aren't even in that book. They all are amazing. I could talk about them for hours, and it's one book that I will always come back to. But I chose this picture specifically because it's also in that book Dogs. I think that's where I first saw this image, but it touches on how clever Elliot Erwitt is with the way he sees things and the things that he picks up on. The way the hair and the fur just perfectly blend in together in this picture. the first time I saw it, I just thought that's so simple, but it's just done so well. His sense of humor, his his cleverness, the way he composes things, and the juxtaposition often. It's just one of my favorite things about him, and not taking things too seriously unless he has to. That's always been one of my favorite qualities about his work.
Your second is Mark Steinmetz.
Yes, this is one of the, I believe it is the opening picture from his book Summer Camp.
Mhm.
And out of all of the photography books I have, while Elliot Erwitt is probably, has been my all-time favorite and will probably remain that way, very close second is Mark Steinmetz. I think I own more of his books than I do Elliot Erwitt's. And Summer Camp, I feel, is sort of a overlooked or less popular book in comparison to some of his others. And this picture specifically, it's different than a lot of what I've seen from Mark Steinmetz. It being composed vertically, I believe this whole book was shot on 35 millimeter as opposed to medium format, which is what a lot of his other work is. And it's not as out of the ordinary. It's just this very simple but like emotionally heavy picture. The whole book is shot at a summer camp, and this being the opening one, presumably on their way to summer camp, which you would think would be a fun, exciting thing. For me, the idea of going to a summer camp gave me so much anxiety. I stayed far away from that as a kid. And I think had I been going to a summer camp as a kid, this would be probably my feelings. Summer Camp is one of my all-time favorite books, and this picture specifically at the opening of the book, it really just hit me really hard the first time I picked that book up. So I had to go with this one as opposed to maybe some of his more popular images. Even in the book accompanying that picture, there's a note that Mark had written to his parents from a summer camp that's scanned in to sort of accompany it. And it's really, I mean, the two together, it's so heavy and human, and yeah, I love that one.
Yeah, you could just feel this kid, poor kid.
Yeah, yeah.
We go to skateboarding for your third image with Matt Price.
Yes, Matt Price is he's become a good friend over the years, but someone that I've always loved his work simply for his willingness to have fun and to think out of the box. And this photo he shot, I believe it was last year. It could have been early this year. I'm not sure. It ended up becoming a cover for a magazine called Closer. It's just nothing like this really works as well as it does with skateboarding. It's something really unique. It's a really dynamic kind of, frame. And the way he did it was simply the skateboarder Louis Lopez was doing a trick off of this ledge that went over the trash can sitting next to the ledge. And Matt just sat his camera down in the bottom of the trash can, just facing up, and then found a stick nearby from a tree and put the stick through the little holes in the trash can there and was just hitting the shutter button on like burst rates, So he was just crouched down, just pushing it with a wooden stick, a branch essentially. And he comes away with, I mean, this picture, when this was first published, it was like a viral skateboarding photo because everyone was like, we've never seen anything like this,
Yeah.
and he shared the video of him doing this and the way he did it. And it was such a funny and silly way of doing it. And he ended up getting with what will probably be one of his most famous pictures he'll ever shoot. I mean, it caught like wildfire when this came out, and understandably so. It's just,
Oh, it gives me joy.
yeah.
Number 4 image that goes with a different tone now.
Yes. So similar in skateboarding, this is a photo by Mike Blayback. He's shooting a portrait of Grant Britton, and Grant Britton is, essentially like the grandfather of skateboarding photography. He's a lot of what people are still doing today. They learned from Grant way back, decades ago, where he was really sort of pioneering the modern way to shoot skateboarding. And it's a different kind of portrait in that you're seeing Grant's reflection over a light table, and he has all of these slides. And something like this, it's an interesting picture in itself, and it's a clever way to include that extra detail in the reflection of the glasses. But the fact that it's Grant, I think with context especially, it really elevates the picture because Grant, who has seen, I mean, people, common household names, Tony Hawk, at a very young age, he documented that entire rise from Tony being this kid who just popped up to, who he is today, and everything in between that, from all different kinds of skateboarding. But for Grant to have his slides of skateboarding history out on a light table like that, reflected into his own eyes in this portrait, Mike Blayback is one of my favorite portrait photographers. He does great work within skateboarding and has for decades, but he's also now doing photography work for Andrew Huberman with the Huberman Lab. His portrait work, also his skateboarding photos, but especially his portraits, the stuff he would shoot in between the skateboarding tricks, whether it be in a studio setting, something like this, or out on the street. Yeah, Mike's got a lot of really great portraits, and this one of Grant, I think, is it's one of my favorites of his for sure.
And number 5, the great Sage Sohier.
Yes, Sage is a photographer that I wasn't familiar with until her book Animals came out by Stanley Barker several years ago, and since then I've been just on a hunt, buying up every book of hers I could find. I believe I'm only missing one at this point. She's just incredible. She instantly became one of my favorite photographers, and the book American Scene is one of my all-time favorites. And it was tough to kind of narrow it down because there were so many pictures of hers that I think that is just a perfect image. Everything from the composition to the expressions with her subjects. This one, the way that she has included all of these people and the way that they're all framed is just perfect. Like you said, making full use of that entire frame. There's so much packed into this thing, and from the wheel spinning, the kids smile, right there through the spokes, the people sitting in the car, the little girl kind of standing there within the frame of the bike, and even the guy right on the edge of the frame where he's, kind of cropped off up there at the top. There's so much going on within the frame and all of these different elements, and it still has that very quick, candid snapshot kind of feel, but it's done seemingly so calculated, to frame this up and still catch a quick kind of glimpse like that. Her just normal, everyday sort of documentary style of making pictures is one of the things I love the most about her work. And to see the way this was framed up, it was one of the pictures that I first saw where I just thought, man, she's operating at a different level than most of us here.
Yeah. If I were to be able to capture this, I would be able to die happy.
There's just there's a lot of details in this one that are just, it's easy to get lost in.
Well, it's great, and I greatly appreciate the images that you have shown. It's been such a pleasure to talk to you here on the Crit House on our little My 5 series. I was so happy when you responded and said you were willing to join us. Thank you very much.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me. Like I said, I've been watching your channel as well, so to see the email come through, I was honored. I've encouraged, or I plan to encourage different friends, or I can send you some suggestions. There are photographers who I know. I would love to see them in this same kind of setting.
I would love it, because I mean, this is, I don't want to have like just a thin line of, I'm just doing this kind of photography. I want to try to get out and get many different places as we can talk to. So give me some names. Totally. And
I will do that. Yeah, I'll try to grab a good variety pack for you, and I'll send that over.
And I would imagine that most people here watching know about your channel, but Matt Day on YouTube, one of my favorite things that you've been doing lately has been your photo book Friday, which has been fantastic. Thanks again. If you are interested in possibly coming on the Crit House, if you are a viewer, then put your 5 images, take your 5 images and put up on Instagram, use the hashtag my5, and then tag us at the Crit House as well. Matt Day, thank you. And thank you all for watching The Crit House.